Just write on that.
Yeah, do you have something additional to add? Absolutely. Again, these need to be meaningful responses, so you can't just say, oh, I agree with what so-and-so said. All right, so you're going to actually, add something to the conversation. If you're on the outside, you need to log into this site, app.gosoapbox.com, and your access code is up here, 704-652-586. Okay, so go ahead and log into that now, if you haven't already. Same thing goes for the outside. All you're doing on the outside is observing what's happening on the inside. You don't comment to anybody else, but if you have a comment to inject, that's what you're going to type out. So in other words, if you hear something that somebody says, it sparks an idea or a thought or a question, that's what you're writing or typing in the Go Soapbox app. You need to go to the discussion thread. That's where you get to type it. So once you log in, there should be a couple options. You hit discussion, and that is where you're going to be able to type your responses. Make sure that you include your name, because that's the only way I'm going to know to give you credit. So when it's asked for what name do you want to go by, include your name there, so that way I can go back and see that you typed X amount of times.
What are we is there be any questions here? Inside circle?
Yeah, exactly.
How many times do you type it?
5 times on the outside.
What? Do you write all 5 times?
No, 5 different. Yeah, so submit each time you have a thought or comment.
Should we be taking notes on our seminar thing that we made? Or
You can do that. Okay. Is anyone still need a moment to get settled up? Anyone on the outside still not logged in? Okay, inside circle, any questions before we start? Yes?
Just going through the numbers kind of, or no, we're asking the questions.
You're just having a conversation about whether the atomic bomb drop was the right decision or whether there could have been some better alternatives, okay? So really, it's basically like it's not exactly a debate, but you are basically having a conversation where you debate both sides of the topic. And you don't necessarily have to take a hard stance on one side or the other. You can offer comments for both, regardless which side you're leaning towards. Okay, Sierra has the first question. Go ahead.
If you were the president, would you have worked harder to find an alternative to dropping the bomb?
I think that, I see why they dropped the bomb, but, they could have worked harder to make, a peace treaty, or at least inform, Japan that they were going to drop the bomb.
Yeah, if I was president, I wanted to drop the bomb, but I wouldn't have done it since you're a populated city where there is, I would have done their military base, what their president was.
Well, especially also it said it was 6 or 7 days after Japan rejected their first peace treaty, and then they dropped it. You could have at least tried a few more times to be listen, this is going to do this to this city. If you don't do it now, then
Yeah, I don't understand why they couldn't, warn them about the bomb, so that maybe they could, surrender before that, knowing that so many people would die.
Well, you're dealing with a really stubborn. Why are you laughing?
Yeah, you laughed. They're just wow.
All right. Well, Japan was really stubborn with their thoughts on it, and they favored imperialism. So they kind of had a little ego going to them. So I doubt they would really accept a peace treaty. So maybe the bomb was the right thing to do. I guess you could have told them, but I don't know if that would have made a difference, because the first bomb didn't even make the difference. It was the second bomb, and those accumulated. That's what made them withdraw from the war.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle, because if you think about it, if we wouldn't have dropped the bomb, someone else would have come up with it, and they would have probably dropped it on us or another.
But now, other countries can use the knowledge that we have. That's one habit that live in fear that they use against us.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of against using an atomic bomb. Or I don't think it was the right thing to do. They could have had different alternatives.
In this letter from the president, it said that they warned them at the post-game conference about the ultimatum, and like they rejected the ultimatum. I don't know what that means, but they said they warned them about the bomb and they rejected it, so they did it.
So I guess that means, yeah, they really have no excuse. The bomb should have been dropped.
Yeah, I mean, like what you're saying, like Japan has like this ego, but like so does America. Like we have an ego of like we're the best. So I feel like Truman was like, well, we're the best, so we can just like do whatever we want. But like all the scientists who like actually like made the bomb, like Truman didn't even like, he wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna think of this. I thought of this idea like the scientists did, and then the scientists were like, well, this is kind of risky. And he's like, I don't care, we're America, we're gonna do it anyway.
But didn't like they like kind of drop bombs to like make themselves like look like higher in power? as
Yeah,
well?
so because we have this ego. But then like everyone else like started to figure it out. So then like what if they would have dropped it on us?
Exactly, then they would have had like that huge,
Yeah,
power over the rest of us.
And then we would have been like, well, that's not fair. They dropped the bomb on us. So then we kind of have to like put ourselves in Japan's shoes. Because like if the like roles were switched, like I would want to know like, okay, we're gonna drop a bomb on you unless you surrender. I feel like we would have surrendered if they were like, we're gonna drop a bomb on you and destroy your whole country.
But they weren't like our friends. Like when they were our enemy, they surprise bombed us on Pearl Harbor. So I mean,
But not to the extent of destroying everything.
So if like Pearl Harbor didn't happen, would you ever like join the war? Or like would somebody else like attack us?
I was a bunch of what ifs, like
Yeah.
this, what if that, and then going back to the ego thing, I feel that America had a bigger ego than Japan, so I feel like if they would have dropped the bomb on us, then we would have just came back and dropped another one. Like either way, the bomb would have been dropped. So
Yeah, it couldn't really been avoided. Like the scientific like revelation was gonna happen one way or another, whether it was us or if it was Japan or another country.
They
Well-
showed everyone like the test.
Like if it was.
It was.
What's
They
up with
did
that?
I think
Yeah, if it was in like a
There's no waste.
countryside or just on military or like
Well,
just outside the country, like in the waters.
I think they would have retaliated that way.
Yeah,
Because,
I feel
like,
like
not
they
as
wouldn't
many
have been,
people
like-
would have died. So like so many people died, they didn't really have like the people to fight us back. So like if we did it like in the ocean or the countryside, there'd still be people. So then they could just like come into America and like start a war.
I feel like it'd actually be smarter to do it where it's less populated, so that less people die, but they still see like the effect of it, and maybe they would still like think of surrendering.
But like America wanted to get their point across. So I feel like
But I feel like that would still get their point across if they were to bomb like an uninhabited area, because you could still see the damage and everything. So,
But the thing is, like with America, like bombing such a popular city, it's almost like it's showing Japan like the effects that it has on like the international like agreement. So it's pretty much like the poster conference. It was supposed to bring peace with America, but since they didn't, it's sort of like an effect of what happened. So it goes to your innocence.
But it wasn't really necessary to drop a bomb where civilians outnumbered Japanese troops 5 or 6 to 1. You would want to drop it more on the troops, not the civilians.
yeah, and the people were like innocent, like most of them didn't really have a part in the war, so.
Yeah, like, at least in Pearl Harbor, they were on a military base and they knew like the danger of living there, and they had the aircrafts and like the defense that they could. Just in there.
Well, that's why I think we should have only like dropped one and then like talk to them again. Like if you don't surrender now, then we'll just drop more, and then more people will die. And I think Japan would be like, okay, maybe we'll surrender now.
I said, what do you think was more devastating to Japan, the lives lost or the money lost due to Reconstruction?
The lives lost, I think, because it's like kind of inhumane, like what we did if you think about it, and they're losing like all those people, which is like jobs, which in a way is like money, like resources.
Yeah,
It's like it wouldn't have happened though if like Japan had never bombed Pearl Harbor. Like, it would have never gotten involved.
if you're looking at them like that, you're not gonna.
Yeah, you're not gonna be like,
Against
oh, they
All right,
might
let me
have
call
a
time. I
game.
want to rein this in a little bit. Dominica, Angela, Monica, Gabby, Kyle, Emily, and Marcy. You've already hit your quota, so I want to hear from the others. So if you guys have any additional questions.
Well, I think that if we had to drop the bomb, because if we didn't, it's like the only strongest survive. So there's no other option than killing 100,000 people or letting us have 100,000 people killed. Because during the same time, our president just died, and we had to bring in a new president, and we were just getting over the Great Depression, so we had no choice. We couldn't fight a war with all the things that were going on with our country, so there was no other option.
It said, why do you think we didn't drop the bomb in a more strategic place? Why Nagasaki? Right, that's what you else.
Didn't we drop it there because it was like, we planned on dropping it somewhere else, I don't remember where it was, but then it was like foggy out, so then we like chose a different location. So originally, we did have a more strategic plan, but then it was like, we couldn't see it or something, it said that in the video.
So it was just like a random place.
Well, I don't think it was random, it was just like backup town. Yeah.
Alright, how do you guys think America would have responded if they were the ones that had the bomb dropped on us instead of the other way around? How do you think we would have responded to that happening?
Retaliation.
Yeah.
Do you think we would have dropped the bomb back?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's sad.
We probably would have dropped it anyway, but then it would have been more like, even more revenge from, because we originally did it just like, they did Pearl Harbor, so we're like, oh, we're just going to bomb you. But then if they had bombed us again, like in a civilian place, wherever civilians are, we would have been like even more inclined to like, more people probably would have agreed with the bomb because they would have bombed us in like 2 different locations.
Do you think it benefited Japan? Like, kind of knocked their ego down a little bit. Was it a good thing for them? Yeah.
It probably brought our ego up though.
Yeah. I think it did because, like, you know, like the said before, like, it's how the bomb was trying to be found by all the other countries. But for us to find it first, it made such a significance and since we stopped the war, I think it did bump our ego up in certain sense.
Okay, that's time. We're gonna switch